Hello, this is Sam Gerrans from samgerrans.com. Today is Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, and the topic today is Putin, dangerous and irresponsible. This is another propaganda analysis, so what we're going to do is look at another article. Now, this again is from The Independent. It looks like I'm picking on The Independent. They're all exactly the same. It doesn't make any difference which one you read. They're all in lockstep. So it does happen to be The Independent again, but it's not like I've got it in for The Independent or anything like that. So it doesn't really work that way. But let's see if we can kind of work our way through this. Ukraine, Russia news live. NATO calls Putin nuclear threat dangerous and irresponsible. And the tagline here is that Moscow has consistently broken its arms control commitments. Well, is that true? No, it's not true. And I'm not here, as I'm sure I'll be accused of it, as being a Russian propagandist or Putin propagandist. It's just objectively not true. What is true is that the West, NATO, has withdrawn unilaterally from a whole stream of nuclear commitments. And that's what's true. And they haven't, I'm sure they won't cite any actual examples. I haven't read this article yet, but we'll see, because they haven't got any. I mean, I'm not saying Russia's perfect. No, it's not. But Russia's a very legalistic country, and that if you miss that about here, you're missing a lot. It's a very bureaucratic sort of place, and somebody lives here. You have to kind of be a lawyer in order to survive here. The idea that everything here is just very chaotic, I will admit it does occasionally look that way, but actually if you scratch the surface of it, it's a very bureaucratic country. Anyway, let's just go through this. NATO has slammed. Who is NATO? Do we actually have the name here? No, we just have NATO. So an entire organization comprising however many 30 countries or whatever it itself has slammed. I wonder if we're going to have any person here. Has slammed Russian President Vladimir Putin for his, quote, dangerous and irresponsible, end quote, nuclear rhetoric after he planned to station tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. Now, just so you know, the backstory to all of this is that NATO has been stationing nuclear weapons in country after country after country on Russia's border. Okay, that's the backstory. And over 20, 30 years, I'm not a pro-Putin person or against him. I just regard him as the reality. And the fact is that over these years, Putin has tried diplomatically over and over and over again to get the West to stop doing this, and just been ignored. Okay? Russia's in reference to NATO's nuclear sharing is totally misleading. NATO allies act with a full respect of their international commitments, a NATO spokesperson told Reuters yesterday, adding that the country has, quote, consistently broken its arms control commitments. Now, firstly, they don't name this person. So if you have the courage of your convictions, you don't mind being named. But this person, if they even exist, didn't have the sufficient courage of the convictions to be named. And what they're claiming is that somehow there's a kind of intrinsic moral qualitative difference between what the West does and then what those unreliable Russians over there are doing. But there is no difference. Getting fried in a nuclear strike is pretty much the same no matter who produces the weaponry. Okay. The Russian move to amp up its nuclear weapons deployment in Europe will not affect NATO's own nuclear position, the spokesperson said. So, no matter what they do to try to counteract what we've been doing, it won't make any difference because we're going to carry on doing it anyway. Quote, we have not seen any changes in Russia's nuclear posture that would lead us to adjust our own, the NATO spokesperson wrote. So now we found out that this was a written response rather than a spoken response. What has changed, of course, is that Russia's own position is a no first strike policy. That's Russian doctrine. And it used to be American doctrine, but they backed out of that now. And so they think there's such a thing as a winnable nuclear war. These are the people who you pay your taxes to. Okay, Russia does not hold that position, and no matter what you're being told in the media about the Russian position on nuclear weapons, the fact is that if it hadn't been for Russia's possession of nuclear weapons, we would all here have already been turned into the rubble of Iraq and Libya and Syria and Afghanistan. That's what's keeping this country safe. That's it. There isn't anything else. Well, I mean, there are other things as well, but that's the major factor, and that's why they have to attack Russia on this front. I'm against nuclear weapons, but they're a fact of life, and I'm just discussing them on that basis. The US has said that it sees no change in the potential for Moscow to use nuclear weapons in the war in Ukraine. Now, this is just such a ridiculous proposition. Firstly, Russia, if you know anything about the war in Ukraine, that's all you already know, that Russia is, so far as it's possible to win a war in which many, many thousands of people are getting killed, Russia's winning that war. It's an unfortunate war. Nobody's happy about it, but it has to be fought, and it is being won. Okay, Russia doesn't need to use nuclear weapons. Secondly, you wouldn't use nuclear weapons in any case against a country that you're already beating to the ground. And certainly you wouldn't use them there on your own border. You'd be a madman to do that. And so, but they're presenting it in this way as if Russia kind of typically uses nuclear weapons. Russia's never used nuclear weapons, actually, ever. Nor did the Soviet Union. Mr. Putin announced yesterday that Russia will deploy tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus, adding that such a move would not violate any nuclear non-proliferation agreements. He accused the US, see the word accused, it has this negative application to it or feeling to it. He accused the US of long deploying its tactical nuclear weapons on the territory of their allied countries. Well, he'd be completely correct, wouldn't he? You see, at a time when the US and NATO are actually have kind of wound up Ukraine like one of those clockwork mice and let it go, using it to murder people in the Donbass region. And every single attempt that Russia has made to try to bring this to some sort of completion, some sort of resolution, has been scorned or ignored. I mean, you may not know this, but in the December, like a month before the actual invasion, Russia sent a document to the Americans saying, "Look, we want to sort this out. This is a last-ditch attempt. These are our concerns. We're ready to meet you halfway, but we cannot have a NATO country on our border." Point after point after point. The Americans didn't even think it was worth a response. Again, they went to even after the initial invasion, because the initial invasion wasn't about defeating Ukraine. It was about getting to the negotiation table again. And even then, in Turkey, they were ready to compromise on all kinds of things. But no, they sent the Western oligarchs, sent Boris Johnson to go and make sure this war happened. And hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians have been killed, missing in action, maimed for life. Tens of thousands of Russians, they don't care. And, but what they have to do is to keep you thinking that your country is doing a righteous and a good thing. Anyway, just showing you that the one bit where something actually true snuck in there. I heard somebody say the other day, it's true. They do tell you the truth sometimes in the Western media, but they kind of do it by mistake. So he accused the US of long deploying its tactical nuclear weapons on the territory of their allied countries. Yes, and that's the end of that article. You see, that's it. That's the only bit of kind of semi-truth you're going to get there. Anyway, what I'm trying to do through this part of my presentation is just to unpick in this rather perhaps kind of almost like Minecraft kind of way, some of these articles, just so that when you read this stuff yourself, or when you listen to the news, you can start to listen to it more critically, because they don't care. They're not there to engage your reason. They know that you haven't actually got any, because you can't concentrate any longer because you're so distracted. And so all they're doing is dropping into your mind some key words. So you've got the invasion, all right? Putin accused, but the West, is righteous and Russia isn't. I'm not in favor of nuclear weapons or nuclear war or anything like that. I don't really care who fires them at whom. I'm just trying to show you that this isn't about news. This is about propaganda. That's all it's about. And it's not just about this. It's not just about this war. It's about feminism. It's about, destroying your countries. It's about, with what let me just ask you this just in closing. What part of what's happened, if you have a memory of the last 50 years, with the destruction of the family, with the destruction of your country, especially if you live in the West, but not only if you live in the West, the same thing's happening in India and all other countries. What part of what's now laughingly called feminism, what part of the destruction of the education system, what part of the homosexualization of your country, what part of the basically paedophile agenda that you're living through, what part of any of that did you vote for? And would you have chosen? I'm guessing either very little or none of it. But that agenda is being rolled out. And my point is that media, for all the wars, is just there to support it. It's not there to inform you or to give you some kind of like broader worldview. No, it's there to keep you on the plantation, obedient, voting every 4 years and thinking you have a choice. You have no choice. You have none. And you're better off just acknowledging that. And then, because then you can move forward on the basis of reality. But as long as they've got people thinking that you have a choice and that democracy is something real, well, I mean, you can't help these people. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to kind of go through that quickly and hit those points while I had a chance. So, I currently upload to Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube and Substack, so please like, share and subscribe on all platforms. It is free to do, but a valuable way of giving back. Go to samgerrans.com and drop your email in the box to subscribe to my Substack newsletter and get all new content delivered to your inbox. I back up my mailing list so that if big tech cancels me, we still have options. I work outside the mainstream and have no corporate sponsorship. If you value what I do, you can help keep the lights on at samgerrans.com/contribute, or upgrade to a paid subscription on my Substack to access my more detailed work as well as comment, Substack being where I read all feedback. I continue to make my legacy projects available free. Summaries and links are at samgerrans.com/books. Finally, I post news, thoughts and announcements to my Telegram channel at t.me/samgerrans. Thanks for listening and bye for now.